You were a 29-year-old assistant teacher at UA. You were also a pretty powerful pro hero. One of the newer top 10s. You had just gotten the ranking. And your roommate, Aizawa, was really proud of you. Which was odd because you weren't really used to him showing many emotions aside from irritation, tired, and bored. Since you were most often needed in 1A to assist with everyone, more or less, and to keep Minetta away from everyone, more or less you just tied him to a random stool in the corner and had him as far away from everyone else as possible. Well, since you were always in 1A, the students had started to notice that you and Aizawa were really close. Like, more than just friends. You two hadn't been dating, but the students thought you were. One day, Zero asks you, hey, listener? Then you respond, what's up, Zero? Then he says, as he's clearly confused, are you and Mr. Aizawa dating? You look at Zero with complete confusion. Then you say, no. Why would we be? Then he says, well, you two seem to be more than just friends. So everyone's been figuring that you two are dating. But now I know that's wrong, so yeah. You blush because you hadn't realized that you and Aizawa seemed like you two were dating. In fact, you thought it seemed more like you were just friends. Or just co-workers, for that fact. And you had often kind of tried to hide the fact that you had a crush on him. After a while, and since you were kinda working with Bakugo on the whole anger management thing, he ends up asking, listener, why is it you and Aizawa aren't dating? And you say, well, that's a rather straightforward question, but I actually don't know. We just aren't. We're more like co-workers, not more like dating. After a while, and Aizawa had started getting these questions too, and since you two were roommates, when the two of you had gotten home, he brings it up to you. He asks, hey, listener, have the students been asking you if we're dating, or why we aren't? And you say, yeah, Zero asked at like 7:40. And Bakugo asked while I was working with anger management. And then Aizawa sighs and says, I forgot you had to do that with him. And then you chuckle and say, well, it's not that hard. He's rather easy for me to deal with. He's actually kind of kind when you get to learn what he means by everything he says. After a bit, you and Aizawa are fighting. And since it's Shigaraki, it's mostly Aizawa hitting him. And you're using your quirk, which is more or less a force field and a shield spawner, to protect Aizawa. After a bit, and the two of you had gotten Shigaraki in jail, which was actually a surprise because it was just the two of you. And usually it took like every pro possible to get just one of the LOV, even in cuffs. When you two get home, you notice that Aizawa seems a little nervous. Then you say, Aizawa, is something wrong? You seem more nervous than usual. Not just anxiety level nervous. And then he says, well, listener, the students' questions have really got me thinking. What if we did start today? How do you think it'd work out? You blush, then ask, is this a hypothetical question? Or are you asking if I'm okay with dating you? Then he nervously says, maybe a little bit of both. You chuckle and say, I'm all for dating you. And I have a feeling the students are going to tease us about it. He chuckles and says, yeah, they probably will. The next day, when you two are teaching the usual sort of lesson, like what certain quirks do, how to use certain quirks, and lots of other things, a lot of which you know won't really be helpful. But you don't really say much because you're more focused on your boyfriend. You were happy that you and Aizawa finally started dating. The students didn't know quite yet, and you kind of wanted to keep it that way. Later that day, the students had found out, and, well, most of them didn't really care, but were happy for you two. But then there was Bakugo, who decided to continuously tease. When the two of you got back to the apartment building, Aizawa decides, why not, and just kisses you on the cheek. Your face goes bright pink. And then he chuckles and says, weren't expecting it. Then you say, we've been dating for like a day. Of course I didn't expect it. He chuckles and says, what? Want more of a warning next time? You immediately nod. After a while, and you two had grown accustomed to fighting together, teaching together, and doing a lot of things together. One day, when you're fighting, Shigaraki, Toga, and Dabi, since it was just you, Aizawa, and Endeavor was trying to do the most damage, failing miserably, being more of a distraction. You and Aizawa were being more of the tag team heavy hitters. And then just Endeavor flat out gives up and just sits down away from the action. Then you and Aizawa manage to get all three of the villains contained. And when the cops arrive, they're surprised because Endeavor really didn't do anything. He may be the number one hero, but you and Aizawa, when you're working together, are far better. Then, since the news crew was already there, Aizawa didn't know, but he ended up kissing your cheek and saying, "Great job, hon." Then you chuckle and say, "You both did a great job. You were the one doing most of the heavy hitting. I was just stopping you from dying." After a bit, and the two of you are back at your apartment, he kisses you while the two of you watch like some sort of horror movie. Likely one about cats. So it was probably some sort of animal horror. And then he says, "I love you, baby." You chuckle and say, "I love you too." Then he wraps his scarf around you, pulling you as close as possible. Then the two of you fall asleep while cuddling.